This is Locked On NFL Players Squad Show, where real players talk real football. No filters, no fluff. Just raw insight straight from the guys who've been in the trenches, in the locker room, and under the lights. You want the truth about a game? You're in the right place. It's the NFL Players Squad on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Players Squad Show over here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one podcast network out there in the game. I'm Anthony Armstrong here, your host, and we have a wonderful array of faces, players who've done it, coaches, they've done it all on multiple levels. Jessica Nina, Brad Banta's in the building, Jamil Douglas, Kadri Ismail, and we got Slick Mark Collins, and then Professor Kennedy as well. I'm glad that we have you here. We're going to get this thing started just out of the gate because the playoffs are here. We are here now. A lot of our teams aren't represented, so we get to talk freely here. It's kind of cool. We get to be like, hey, I ain't got no dog in the race. Let's have a little bit of fun. But from the FCS game that happened that was wild, we were talking about.
Oh, man.
That was a hell of an ending. And then to one that kind of happened up there in Pittsburgh. We'll start it out with my man, Kadri Ismail. He's shaking his head in disdain. He's upset. He's sad. Don't cry on there for us, Kadri. But what a way to end the season. How are you feeling off of that loss for the Baltimore Ravens?
Man, where do I begin? I think I could fill up the entire show with Raven drama.
Please don't.
This started off with a whole article written by Mike Preston, who it was more of an opinion piece that kind of spun into a Lamar Jackson hit piece that some people were feeling. And with that kind of set the tone, I think, for the week. And that was Lamar wasn't committed to the professionalism of working and doing his thing as the leader of the team, which, again, maybe this is a conversation I can kick around to the fellas as I answer what happened this past weekend. But have you guys had a superstar on your team to the point where his actions or inactions caused the team to go some type of way? And I think with Lamar Jackson, who maybe in the past has shown up late, maybe in the past has not been fully present and doing his thing, I think for the Pittsburgh game itself, they have an 8-1 record against the Steelers, or 1-8 record, against the Steelers since 2020. It's been one of those situations where, bigger picture wise, for the Ravens, they have really struggled to overcome close games in Pittsburgh. It seems like it is more along the lines of Mike Tomlin out-coaching John Harbaugh rather than it being put on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson. His fourth quarter was phenomenal. I'm sitting there, and what's crazy, in the third quarter, obviously, those guys, we all know, in that third quarter, they play the hype song Renegade, and they show all these highlights. Crowd gets all, riled up. Every single game that I covered in Pittsburgh against the Ravens, when they play Renegade, something bad goes on. And literally Lamar comes right out and throws an 18-yard strike to Zay Flowers, and it was on from there. But unfortunately, Tyler Luke, the rookie kicker, taking over for Justin Tucker, his kick was just straight up shanked, and he pushed it. It was a doable kick. And we're sitting there left with our mouths open like, what in the world? But what happened afterwards, the way in which Mike Tomlin, I think for him, who he himself has been on a hot seat, I think he felt like he was vindicated. I think from a John Harbaugh standpoint, I know when we were in the locker room and all the questions were being asked, it was, okay, John, do you think you have a job? John, where do you think you go from here? Lamar Jackson, they asked him the same thing. Do you want John Harbaugh being your coach? Roquan Smith, star linebacker. Ro, what do you feel? Do you feel like John should be the coach? I think if there was ever a contentious offseason, we can look back at 2022 when Lamar finally got his contract, but you can also look to this whether it be Eric DeCosta, the general manager, and John Harbaugh, both guys are going to be taking a hard, long look at themselves because this was supposed to be the great season of walking straight over into Levi Stadium and winning a Super Bowl championship. Instead, they're on the outside looking in on the playoffs.
Man, it is a tough finish for what has been pretty miraculous. Jamil, what is your thought of how do you take, what would you do in this situation? You got a talented roster. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks, MVP level, done it twice, matter of fact. King Henry in the backfield, Zay Flowers, just dangerous. What do you do in Baltimore? Is it the head coach or is it the QB?
This is one of the more confusing situations for me because, obviously we respect what John Harbaugh has been able to accomplish with the Ravens. They haven't, made it over the hump. I think you've given Lamar a run game, right? In terms of Derrick Henry. I do think Lamar was banged up this year. And I was watching something earlier in terms of like when Lamar isn't able to use his legs, when do you pivot and say, okay, this is the game in which we need you to drop back after we run the ball with Derrick Henry. We need you to be able to drop back and deliver it to the receivers. Like, I feel like they didn't do the adjustment work of like, our guy is banged up. Let's not let our offense kind of stall out. Like, he's had to be Superman. That play that should have been a sack. I mean, the fact that he got that out, like, to me, you just have to be able to position this guy to, I guess, be able to pivot in terms of when things aren't working for them. But each year it's come down to one play for these guys. Like, they're right there. So I don't know what exactly needs to get them over the hump, but it's a complex situation.
Z, let's bring you in, man. You've been in these locker rooms and around a whole lot of teams. If they're dropping all these questions, trying to decide if you need to change your head coach, especially right after the game, like how do you steady the ship over there in Baltimore? What's the way to settle a big crab cake over there?
It is a tough one because, like you said, they've been close every year. They just can't get over the hump. I don't think it's the head coach, because he's been there so long. He's not got over the hump since his last Super Bowl. That's the question, and now you're wasting the quarterback's talent because, he's getting older. He was banged up this year, and that's why those questions are asked. But, the main thing I thought this year with them was really their defense. Their defense hasn't been like the Baltimore defense of the past, where they relied on that defense to keep those games close and get those turnovers for Lamar and bail Lamar out when he got into some issues. They didn't have it this year, and they were pretty shoddy. They kind of mid-season, I think, they kind of came back a little bit, but then they faltered again. So I think that's what they need to start to look at on this team to rectify, to fix it for next year, is start on the defense first. Depending on what they do, the head coach, I'm sure they're going to keep him. I would. He'd be scooped up in a heartbeat, by these other 6 teams. He's a good coach. He's a good dude. He gets those guys to play. He just got to shore up the defense first, and and then go to the offense and clean that up a little bit.
Hell, I think John Harbaugh would get somebody else fired. Some other teams would be like, "Hey, man, what? It was cool, but we're gonna get John Harbaugh." And
the Giants would be one of them,
right? Well, they're already on the hunt. They would for sure cancel their other meetings. Speaking of the defense, just the statistics, their defensive rating, the Ravens at the 18th and in points per game and 24th in yards per game. They haven't had a defense this bad since their 2021 season, where they were 19th and 25th. So for what it's worth, they may bounce back because they've done that. They did do that those previous years. Well, it'll be interesting. Go ahead. What you got, Mark?
They still got a good team, no doubt about it. I mean, if you think about it, since Lamar's been there, and Quad, you know more about this more than I do, but they went to 3 different offensive coordinators. And one thing I noticed watching Lamar Jackson play, which this is the first year I've seen him play where he checked out of plays. He's never checked in and out of plays. When they played the Chiefs a couple of years ago for the AFC Championship game or any other big game, he never checks in and out of plays. So what they did this year, fast forward, last year, they gave him a good running back because they needed a strong running game. They got it. Didn't work last year. Didn't work this year. Of course, he was hurt. Lamar was hurt this year. But they still got a good nucleus of guys to get it done. Now, as we mentioned before, defense, that's where you got to shore it up at. They got to stop somebody. And once you fix the defense, they'll be okay. They're not in a rebuild mode. Far from that. They got to take a couple months off, a month to be exact. Think about it. Let all the dust settle. Because Quad, you know more about this than I do. Everybody's mad at each other. And we've been in locker rooms after a tough loss when just gone down the drain and everybody's talking about retiring and you want to MF the coach and MF the other player. Got to be cool. Let the dust settle and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, now we got to hit the explicit
let
warning
me
on
even
this
say
thing.
this. But let me even pivot off of that and add a little more context, because when I was saying Eric DaCosta and we talk about, Z and Mark, we talk about where this team is headed, but how was it built? Why did the defense falter as far as the excellence? One, you had Mike McDonald in the building. You had him as your coordinator, and that defense was dominant across the board, period. When you had Todd Monken not stripped of his power as the offensive coordinator, he was having that offense humming to the point where they were the number one offense. I do absolutely agree. Did not do what they needed to do in the AFC Championship game 2 seasons ago. I get that. Last season, they had a 2-point conversion drop to put the game into a position where they could have won it by Mark Andrews. But the offensive line and the lack of a pass rush on the D line is the glaring issues. Who's responsible for getting those players? And it falls directly on the shoulders of Eric DaCosta. He's the one who built the team. He's the one who put in the position where you're going to have Daniel Falele and Voorhees. Both dudes are mid at best. Literally, I have not seen a home crowd ever boo a guy coming out for intros like they did Daniel Falele. Homeboy got booed coming out for team intro. At the same time, Lamar makes one of his historically amazing plays against the Steelers when you have Benton coming up at the middle and you had Highsmith about to get him, and he slipped him, gets out of the pocket, extends the play, and allows Zay Flowers, who beat Patrick Queen, for a touchdown. Who was the responsibility of Benton? Daniel Falele. It is rinse and repeat every single time. Defensively, once Kyle Hamilton went down, Aaron Rodgers was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to Freiermuth. I'm going to go ahead and light them up with him. And then you had a Wouzier, which I don't know why, but he bit on a double move and Austin running by him. He's still running by him at Acrisure Stadium for a touchdown. I mean, he's that wide open. Brother, defensively, you're absolutely right. But who brought in those players? Who brought in the offensive line? Eric DaCosta right now has to be in the crosshairs of Steve Bisciotti. If not, then you're absolutely right. We're just going to keep talking about, John Harbaugh is a great coach. Oh, he's a good coach. Oh, man, other teams will love him. Well, last I checked, Andy Reid was balling in Philly, and what happened? Homeboy had to go to the Chiefs, and he still put up some banners, but the Eagles put up banners as well. This whole notion of, we got to keep John Harbaugh.
Okay.
There's another guy. There's some other guy.
Man.
He's passionate about this.
I'm gonna let that thing simmer, man. I'm gonna let that thing go. You gotta let that energy rock. I gotta let him get that out, man.
No, for sure. You gotta let him get it out. Hey, what I did think was interesting though, in the terms of Kyle Hamilton leaving the game, when he was on the field, the Steelers averaged 3.9 yards a play. When he left, they averaged 7 yards a play. So I think, one player, we know how special he is, but one player getting hurt, you can't have that sort of meltdown, especially when the game is on the line like that. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, when you say that, Jamil, that's a great set, because we're going to work my way into asking. We'll get Brad and then Professor Kennedy in there, y'all's input. At one point, is it the system, right? The scheme itself. It feels like when it was Mike McDonald, he had the scheme. It didn't matter what players you put in there. versus the type of players. And then, Quadri is saying, hey, the players aren't really working. So how important is it, Brad? And then we'll go to Professor Kennedy. How important is it to make sure you have the right coaching staff and the right system in place to make sure that your team can get past the hump and not have any issues?
It's interesting that we're talking about this. I think it's a definite mixture between the two, but it's up to the coach to put the specific player in the right position to make plays and understanding what that player can and cannot do. It is imperative that you have to have a definite meshing of those two philosophies. And then if a coaching philosophy doesn't necessarily mesh with what player you have, then it's up to the coach to figure it out and how to take advantage of what that player's skill set is. And I was talking with somebody, this was probably a couple months ago, and I believe whenever Steve Young was quarterback in the 49ers, they would go into a game, and I think it was the 49ers, but they would go into a game with essentially two game plans. And if Steve Young was on, then they would go with game plan 1. If he was off, then they would pivot to game plan 2 and let him be a manager of the game. And then you would work all of the plays, and then it was up to the coordinator and the coaches to figure out what plays to run during the week, but you would work both game plans. And what I mean by both game plans is, instead of him taking shots, let's say 20, 30 yards down the field, you keep it more quick game. And then you rely more on your run game. Yeah. And that's where the coaches have to figure it out during the game. And it's not these halftime adjustments that everybody talks about. When you go in there, you're doing it up on the sidelines and you're doing it on the box, and it's communication between the coaching staff. And then whenever the coaching staff, everybody's on the same page, then that's where they portray it onto the players and go from there. Link, what you got?
I honestly believe Brad's is spot on, because I've always thought the best thing about coaching is creating a system that best exemplifies the players that you have and that are on your roster. And because we're talking about Lamar, I'm reminded after he got drafted in his first early years with struggling, how they had to go back to Louisville and watch some film of Louisville and saw what he excelled at to make him feel more comfortable. And that's what it is. It's called about adjusting to the time, adjusting. It doesn't have to be halftime like Brad talked about. No, it can be adjust on the fly. It can be adjusting on the week. The strengths. And that's where coaches need to earn their bread and butter. It's not just the player's fault. It's not just the coach's fault. I've always believed coaches coach, players play. There's some times where players go out there and they wet themselves and they have bad games. And then you had the team game has to overcome it. Maybe the offense isn't doing its job. The defense has to step in, or special teams has to step in. That game against the Steelers, I was sitting in my restaurant laughing because I didn't think either team wanted to win. It looked like they were both doing their best to throw the game. And then all of a sudden, it comes down to that last minute, that final minute. Lamar takes a knee. They send a kicker out, and I've never been a big fan of kickers. Anybody knows me. It is what it is.
Me either.
But you send a kicker out to win the game, and that kick is shanked. Then they come back and they say, well, it's divine intervention because the preacher came out and blessed it with holy water, all this other excess. Look, bottom line is –
that was funny.
That's true.
The bottom line – no, I'm going to watch my tongue a little bit.
Too.
Bottom line is this. I've always felt that there is a very finite window that you have in order to succeed. And within that window, if you're not getting over the top and winning a championship, you've got to move on, because there is parity in the NFL. And when it comes to divisions, I know division specifics because I've experienced it. And in this instance, you see that Baltimore can't beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh can't beat Cleveland. Cincinnati's just in the frame. How do you explain that? You know what I mean? It is what it is, but it happens every year, and it's the parity in the NFL. So I think Harbaugh is a tremendous coach. I think he's done a wonderful job at Baltimore in his time there. He's won championships. But it also comes down, what have you done for me lately? Yeah. And it's so rare to create a dynasty like you had with Kansas City, like you had with New England. It's so rare to dominate for a decade that there comes a time where you have to say, you know what? We might just have to take a chance and move on from someone not only to put people in the seats and keep the TVs coming back around, but in order to turn this thing around and win championships, because that's the final goal. The all is to win championships, not just be in the playoffs, not just have a winning record, challenge for a championship every year.
I love it, man. You got me motivated right now, Professor. Hey guys, the 2026 NFL draft picks are locked in, and with so many teams looking for their franchise quarterback, it makes me wonder, have you ever thought about being a pro QB? You want to get out there, get drafted first overall for your dream team and take them to the Super Bowl? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you. It's called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a number one draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead this team to greatness, to help them turn a failing franchise into a destination, kind of like some of the top picks in this year's draft. The number one quarterback career game mode on all mobile app stores is the game right here, and it introduces the most realistic environment with full career control. You can sign your contracts, train, upgrade yourself, build chemistry, and involve your teammates, give input to your GM on roster moves, and play the actual games in 2D and rise through the ranks to become a pro football legend. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a quarterback's career, from rookie nerves to playoff drama, and every choice is going to shape your journey. I love that. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Perfect for when you want to sneak in a quick game or two while you're on the go. Just head on over to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. And we've got something special just for you guys. Use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps in the game store to get a free boost at the start of your career. Ultimate QB, football legend, QB1, it's your legacy. We're going to take this thing down the East Coast. We're going to go down the East Coast there a little bit. I-95, I think, is the road we're going to go. Hop on 495, hit on I-95 south, stay going south about 16 hours. We're going to pull up into Duval County. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohen, and that offense, and that defense, really. I'm looking at their statistics. They are ranked highly in the offensive side. They're ranked highly on the defensive side. Man, what's up with these Jaguars? Number one in the AFC South. They are playing against who they got this weekend. They are hosting the Buffalo Bills, and they're 1.5-point dogs at home. All right, who wants to take this one on? Just start it out, because I feel like, even though I feel like the Buffalo Bills are one of my favorite preseason favorites to win the Super Bowl, they've been a little shaky in my estimation. They've lost some games on the road. Houston was one. They have a tough defense. Now they're facing a tough defense in the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's been some chinks in the armor where, hey, Superman doesn't always take off his cape and do his thing. What do you see with these Jacksonville Jaguars, Jamil? They got the Buffalo Bills at home, 1.5-point favorite, or dogs.
I mean, look, at this point, I know earlier in the year, I didn't know if I believed in Jacksonville. I thought this was kind of a fluke. After I think the Kansas City game was probably the first time that I'm like, okay, let me pay attention to these guys. The reality of it is Liam Cohen's got them playing really good football, and they're peaking at the right time. That being said, like you said, Buffalo has been shaky. Like, this is a game in which Jacksonville can 100%, it's at home. Trevor Lawrence is comfortable at home. He doesn't have to go on the road to Buffalo and play in the cold. Like, this is a favorable matchup for them, just because Buffalo hasn't been what I think, we're used to. Like, we know Josh Allen has to be Superman to get it done at times. So Liam Cohen's got them playing confident. He's got them playing, peaking at the right time. And I think it's a game that I think Buffalo has to take this a lot more serious than Jacksonville. Like, Jacksonville can go in and kind of play their game. Buffalo has to be sure that they're not sleeping on this team.
I can feel that. When you look at it, Brad, we'll go to you next. The last playoff game between these two teams was January 7th, 2018. The Jaguars won 10-3 behind a Blake Bortles pass to Ben Koyak and a Josh Lambo field goal. Those are a couple of names for you. Brad, did the Jaguars have enough defense to stop these Bills?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you stop Josh Allen, that's going to be the key. Liam Cohen, like Jamil had said, they're playing at a high level, and what Liam has done he has circled the wagons, and he had gotten these guys to buy in what he's selling, and they're drinking the Kool-Aid. And it is something that has not been done in Jacksonville in quite some time. I think what we're seeing is really it's a coach expanding on the strengths of their star player, and that's Trevor Lawrence. But defensively, you have to take care of Josh Allen, and that's where the defense is going to have to come in and just concentrate on, okay, where's the ball? We know who has it. Josh Allen has it. Are you going to play? Are you going to spy him? You're going to drop people. You're going to rush him. If you're going to rush him, you better be able to, he's a Wyoming cowboy, so you better be able to wrangle him all the way down and then come up, get at least 3 legs tied and then come up with your hands up, because he is a strong individual.
The Jags got their own Josh Hines Allen, respectfully. He has 8 sacks on the season. He has 12 tackles for loss, 28 quarterback hits, and a safety. So it's going to be Allen on Allen crime going on out there. Mark, look, the defensive side, I wanted to go back. We got to go back because the Steelers are in the playoffs too, right? We talked about that game against the Ravens. Sorry, Q. But the Steelers are going against the Texans, another solid defense. All right.
Yes.
This is the one I have. I feel like I put a little upset alert on this one. 3.5 points is the line for this game for Pittsburgh and the good old Texans. Where is it at? There it is. 3.5 point favorites on the road. I think that the Texans traveling to Pittsburgh may be a little scary. Personally, that weather is something that comes into account. They play inside normally, and then on the other side, you got to deal with Aaron Rodgers too. So, Q, you got the recent experience. What do you think? How are the Texans going to hold up against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
First of all, the Steelers, all my Steeler fans that have been, or friends, I should say, that have been straight trolling me since they got the victory. Yeah, we're so good on Monday night. We're undefeated in Monday Night Football. So they're playing them on Monday night. Okay, great. I think the good news is DeKalen Metcalf is going to be back in the building after his 2-game suspension. And so for DeKalen to get back in the fold, that's going to really help out Aaron Rodgers because DeKalen, without him in there, they look mid. And again, Jamil, you said it perfectly. When Kyle Hamilton was in the game, it was like nothing happening offensively. I think Jalen Warren, I think Gainwell, both dudes. Kenneth Gainwell is a baller. That dude flat out can catch, but his ability to make guys miss and get up the field is tremendous. But with DeKalen back, I think it'll be a big boost. What is impressive is the defensive front for the Houston Texans. I think that's where, if I'm DeMeco Ryans, I'm like, bro, we're on feast on Aaron Rodgers. What we saw as far as when they look at the film with the Ravens, he just sat back and was just chilling in the pocket up against Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns. It was a whole different ball game. He was trying to get rid of the ball so quickly, and his eyes were darting all over the place. So, yeah, DeKalen might be back. They still have Freiermuth, and they still have Kenneth Gainwell. And Jalen Warren is certainly a strong, dependable back. But I think that Houston defensive front, they will be unleashed. And I think they're going to have quite the day against Aaron Rodgers. But the defensive front for Pittsburgh, that to me, I think is going to be the X factor, and whether or not TJ Watt can go ahead and continue to, come back off of his dry needling experience and subsequent collapsed lung. He looked really good against Ravens, had an interception off of a tip ball. up in the air by his fellow defensive cohorts. So this game, in my mind, because it's at home and it is the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they can get it done. But I'm not as confident because of the fact that the Houston Texans, their defensive front is just too formidable.
I love it. Z, you played on the D line, man. You chime in on this Pittsburgh Houston game right quick. We'll change matchups after this one.
Yeah, I think Houston's gonna feast on Aaron Rodgers. Again, Cleveland, with Myles Garrett, they put that protection towards him, they keyed on him, and they nullified him. They can't do that with Houston. They have 2 DNs that are coming every play, and their interior D line is really good too. And they're getting pressure, they're getting sacks, they're keeping the pocket. And that quarterback's going to go. Aaron's what, 44? He can't outrun this defense how he used to be. These cats are coming, and that's going to be to me that's the X factor is the Houston defense. It's up to the Pittsburgh defense to stop Houston's offense, which is starting to come on late in the season. The beginning of the year it was very, very shaky, but they're coming on. CJ's got them going now, and he'll put up some points. And I just don't see Pittsburgh scoring a lot of points against the Texans.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect a whole bunch of points. I mean, it's going to be cold. Over-under 39.5.
Don't forget about those corners they got too, Stingley and last week.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Both of those dudes are they're shut down corners.
The key with the Texans, they get after they get turnovers, Mark. They get their hands on the football.
With that pass rush,
yeah,
and that coverage on the back end, that's hand to hand. That's a great marriage right there.
3.5 points, man. It's gonna be a tight matchup. I think weather comes into play. I think the a young team going on the road against Aaron Rodgers, they're gonna be like, oh my God, that's Mike Tomlin, right? We're in Heinz Field, the terrible towels, all that aura. You kidding me? That stuff is serious.
But the Texans have been in the playoffs the last 2 years. So it's 3 years now, right?
At the crib,
that young thing is out the window with this team. It's
right?
Hey, Banter, remember we said the same thing at Kansas City, right? So I'm at the Chiefs, and Brad is with the Colts.
We didn't know anything.
Dome team. We play in the cold, and we were 13-3, and we were kind of full of ourselves. I was thinking Super Bowl. We didn't look past the Colts, but we looked past the Colts. You know what I'm saying? So we're playing. And they come in and kick our butts 10-7, right?
Who was
we were just young and dumb. That's what we were.
No, but yeah, right.
But we believe.
Man, Harbaugh, they wore us out. But it was one of those deals. So we can't always throw in the dome teams and getting caught up on all that stuff. We all know this. When it comes to playoffs, nothing else matters but that game ahead of you, the game you're in, and the player that you're playing in, that play. That's it. It's a one and done. This is the only sport that's not a best of series.
Best of 5. We'll get them next time. Ain't no next
time.
Ain't
no next time. No next time. It's next year.
It is over.
That's it.
Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special deals and offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointments for viewing NBA Happy Hour. Opening with the FanDuel app, Happy Hour always brings something new. You've got boosts, you've got bonuses, and you've got a few surprises in there for you as well. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before that window closes. The timing is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds a little extra energy to the Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check out the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Lane, Professor Kennedy, I'm gonna bring you in on this one, man. There's another matchup, AFC playoff matchup right here. Okay, we're looking at the Chargers on the road all the way across the country. Got to go up there to Boston. They're going against the Patriots. Patriots 3.5-point favorites. You've been up there. You played playoff games up there.
Yeah.
Okay, what can the Chargers do? Do they have enough firepower? I mean, they got young Justin Herbert. The offense is rolling. They got a little Harbaugh magic. He's going to be hyped for no reason at all. What you think about that matchup?
A little bit of Herbert magic, but not really much. I don't think it's much to get over New England. I think New England is riding high. Drake May is having an MVP caliber year. This crowd is going to be in a frenzy because they haven't been in the playoffs in a while. And who knows what the weather determines. You know, being in Southern California is a lot different than going to Boston. I'm not saying that they can't get it done, but I'm just saying it's going to be a tall task. I was surprised that the Chargers actually made the playoffs, to be honest with you, the way they were playing towards the middle of the season. Came on strong in the end, win when they needed to win, but I was surprised they actually been there. With that being said, I tip my hat to what New England and Vrabel was able to do this past season with Drake May. They revitalized that offensive line, got it better, got some protection, got a run game. They've got a complete system. They've got a defense that believes in their coach. So I think honestly that this comes down to the fact that the New England's at home, and it's going to be a very tall task for the Chargers. Not impossible, just a tall task.
I think that matchup.
I think the Patriots are going to handle the Chargers, and I'll just say from a standpoint that we talked about up front, I think Justin Herbert's been the most sacked quarterback this year, and Mike Vrabel, we all know who he is. We all know what he stands for. When I played for Mike Vrabel, he always made it known if there was an offensive lineman that couldn't particularly hold up, he would say we found the pigeon. And I guarantee you that's how he's talking this week. Those guys feast on bad football, they feast on mistakes, and I think that it's a tall task for the Chargers to walk into Foxborough and beat a team that has been playing well all year and can win many different ways.
Man, they have home field advantage. I went ahead and looked up the weather for you. It's going to be rainy all day. They play Sunday night. So it shows it's going to rain all the way up to about till kickoff. So it's going to be nasty weather, but I'm with you. I think the Patriots are just going to be a much more physical team. The Chargers want to be physical, but man, it's different. It's different. I think Vrabel has that team up there wired differently, Z. What do you think? You got anything on that matchup?
Yeah, no, I like the Patriots all the way.
Easy enough. I mean, it's straight up.
Well, the
like
Chargers,
that.
they put it together midway through the season and got it going. But I don't think they have enough firepower to go against New England, especially with New England being at home and they've been on a roll. I mean, they just, they counterpunch you all the time. You have a big play, you score, they come right back and score again. They keep it even, and, until they pull ahead. And they, fundamentally, Vrabel's got him playing really good football situationally, and those are the little things that come down to, and that's why I think New England all the way.
Already. Let's flip sides, folks. Let's go to the NFC. One of the teams that I really care for, Philadelphia Eagles, playing host to the San Francisco 49ers, 4.5-point favorites at home. Let's go get Slick in the game here, man. Slick, what you thinking? The Eagles are going to have enough juice. They're favorites, obviously, against San Francisco.
Yeah, I think they'll have enough, but San Fran's been playing well too, other than the last game they played, but they've been pretty solid. Like I said before, no one's really afraid of the Eagles anymore. They're not. I mean, they made the playoffs great, but they're not really the same as last year. Not as physical on offense. They're not running the ball effectively with Saquon. The passing is not very great. I still think there's animosity going on in the locker room with A.J. Brown and Hurts. Defensively, they're not as strong as they were last year, but they're in the playoffs. San Fran, other than their last game, they play pretty solid. They've been doing everything well. Have some injuries, some key injuries, but it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. San Fran can beat Philly in Philly. I do see that happening because I think Philly is not running on all cylinders right now.
San Francisco's got a lot of injuries. Brad, what you got? You think they can overcome that, right? They're going on the road, going to Philly. Philly is shaky, and I know they did that. Sirianni ran they built-in bye week. Is that going to hold them back? even though San Francisco, they're hurt. They don't have Fred Warner. They got a lot of major injuries, but they still got Christian McCaffrey. You still got Kyle Shanahan dialing stuff up. And I know that they remember their experience the previous year when they had all those injuries in that playoff game in the NFC Championship game. So what do you think, Brad?
Look, I'm taking the 49ers on this one. This is my reason why, because you're looking at an NFC West opponent, and you just look at that division kind of top to bottom, and it's one of the top divisions in the NFL this year. They are road tested. They're a road tested team, and I believe that does Trent Williams play or not? We don't know. That's definitely going to ebb and flow and tilt in the 49ers' favor. If he does, it's just something about Philly and the locker room makeup, and there's just too much turmoil that's going on in there, and they have been winning games because of talent.
Yeah.
And it's not because of the team. And I think once you get into the playoffs, you have to be a team.
And there's going to be a lot of finger pointing if they get down. It's one of those type of things, right? If you're down 2 scores early, then it's like, hey, what do you got? Can you hold it down? Or who's to blame? That type of a vibe. Switching up this matchup, because I think I like San Francisco in that one. Let's talk about these.
Are you saying just because it's Philly or what?
Well, a little bit of both.
Okay, all right. I just had to ask. Let's put it out there.
I know this much, though. I know this much. I feel like Philly's one of the ones where it's like if they get ahead, then they're just going to be annoying, right? You play that one friend who runs the same play on offense in Madden, and you're like, dog, run something else. He's like, well, you got to stop it. That's how I feel about them. They'll get ahead, and they'll push, and then they'll be like, you just got to stop it. And I'm like, that's crap. That's not good football. And yes, it's also because it's just Philly. That's the main reason, simply because of Philly. Here's a big matchup, and we're going to bring in Z and Professor Kennedy, the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. This is an interesting matchup. Green Bay's a favorite down there in Soldier Field. They didn't win the last time over there in Soldier Field. Let me get my notes rolling. I took some good ones on this one. Caleb Williams, they're 1.5 point dogs at home. Both teams protected home field when they played. Most recently, Chicago won in overtime. That was 13 days after they lost up there in Green Bay. So the Bears have been little bro for a while. They only have 5 wins in this rivalry since 2011. Do they get vindication today or on Sunday or Saturday? Now, hell, Saturday night. Do they get vindication, Z? What do you think?
I think the Bears will walk away with this one. It's hard for me to say that, to be honest with you, but it is. The Packers, when they lost Micah, it was over because defensively, and they lost Big White inside. So, their front seven is not what it was beginning of the year, and they've struggled. And it's hard to get pressure on quarterbacks for them and everything. So the Bears, they've been playing really good football. Ben's got the young quarterback, staying within himself, making the right plays, not turning the ball over, whereas the Bears defense is not very good, but they lead the league in turnovers. They're 10-1, they win the turnover battle, I think, this year. So, right there, that says it all, but, they can't stop the run. So if Green Bay can get the run game going, which has been kind of shaky up there with the injuries, they have a chance, but I just don't think that. I think the Bears have too much power, and are healthier, and they'll pull it out.
Professor Kennedy.
Over the past couple of years, what I've come to understand, even Ben Johnson's time in Detroit, he knows how to beat the Packers. He knows how to offensively call a game plan to beat the Packers. And look, the Packers, in spite of all their injuries, are still in the position. But I think this matchup doesn't favor Green Bay in I know the Bears have struggled on defense, but I do believe in the way that this offense has been clicking, the way it's been riding Ben Johnson's offense, and the way Caleb's been playing behind it. I think they're striking the griddle where it's hot right at the right time. Having this first game against a team you're very familiar with, and a coach who's very familiar with this team knows how to beat them. So I give the Bears a chance. The Bears the edge in this one.
I love that, man. And then for the sake of it, our adopted nephew of the show, Cole Kmet, you got all type of lines on his receiving yards over there at FanDuel if you'd like. Over 15 yards, minus 102. And he did have a touchdown as well. I was thinking of you, Z. Every time I see Cole Kmet, I say, there goes Z nephew, man. Congratulations.
Hey, and Anthony, his little brother was on the Illinois State team last night that lost.
Okay.
Quarterback there. So yeah.
Oh wow, that's
the reason why I watched that game all night.
Okay.
And shout out to Brock Spack. He was my linebacker coach at Purdue. So that's
already
why I watched that game.
You were up for all that stuff, man. Shout out to your former players. Let's see. What else have we got? Did I cover all of this? The play? Oh no, we didn't. Here's one. This is one. This is the big line. The Rams are going to Carolina. Right? They're 10.5-point favorites. But Carolina.
The Rams?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
10.5 point?
10.5-point favorites, right?
In
Carolina. It's a playoff game. I mean, it's heavy to the Rams' favor, but the Carolina beat these guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They got Rookie of the Year candidate, Tatoria McMillan. I mean, Bryce Young is playing out of his mind. Man. And I feel like the Panthers have done well ever since that they had a podcast that like went away. But they're like, the team sucks, we're quitting. And ever since they left, the team's been good. So I think they're going to stay off the air for a while. Jamil, do you think these suckers can run any type of excitement and find a way to beat the Rams?
I definitely think they can run some excitement. I don't know that they'll walk away with the win, but it's the playoffs, and we know all you got to do is get in. The Rams went there earlier in the year. Matt Stafford threw 3 picks, and Carolina took advantage of the turnover battle. I think I know for a fact the Rams aren't going to go in there with that same mindset. If anything kind of gives them the edge, it's the fact that Sean McVay is one of the best coaches, in our times, especially in my time, in terms of game plan. And so I expect the Rams to, I think they got back on track with the win over the Cardinals for whatever that's worth. It is what it is. But I think they got back on track, and they're going to get Devontae Adams back. Puka Nacua is not going to have all the eyes on him, even though he's been balling with all the eyes on him. And it'll open up the offense a little more. I think Devontae is really important for that offense. And then their defense just got to go in there and be who they are. They haven't been, I think, playing up to the standard in which they expect, but I do expect them all to be firing on all cylinders this week.
This matchup is it's interesting because whereas the Rams, they have more Jimmys and Joes is what you'd say, but Carolina got the corners. They've got a running game about them. They've got a previous win. We talk about teams coming in young and not knowing no better. Mark, I mean, what do you think? The Carolina Panthers may pull an upset or no?
No, not this time. They got them last time. I think the Rams, or I said earlier, a solid team. They remember that loss. We all remember that loss. They lost to the Panthers. This time in the playoffs, it really means something. The Rams, they're not going to fall for it again. They're going to come back. They're stronger. They're well balanced. They run the ball well, playing great defense. In the playoffs, this time, it means something. Rams over the Panthers.
Finding a doctor you actually like can feel like discovering a diamond in the rough. You want someone in network, nearby, and with availability. It's like a trio that you're looking for. But you also want a doctor that's really going to listen. He's going to make you feel comfortable. And she explains things clearly and helps walk you through the process. And you can walk out feeling confident about your next step. Your diamond in the rough doctor does exist. And finding them is as easy with ZocDoc. ZocDoc is a free app and a website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can choose someone you truly connect with. I love that you can search for a specialty or by your symptoms and quickly find the right fit. Now, being able to choose in-person or video visits makes scheduling even easier, and you can check out verified patient reviews to get a real sense of the doctor's vibe and their communication style. The appointments can happen usually within 24 to 72 hours, and they can even have some same-day openings available. You have the ability to have real-time availability, means you can book instantly, no phone tag. And if I needed to book care fast, this would basically be the first place that I'd go, and it just makes the process simple. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNFL. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this message. We're all done with the playoff talk, but let's get to the hot stuff that has been happening in the NFL. They call it Black Monday when all the head coaches lose their job. But I hate that because I'm like, the last day when they cut from 75 down to 53, there's a whole bunch of young men who may not ever play football again, and their dreams are completely shattered. So that's the real Black Monday in our estimation. But coaching changes. Well, what openings do we have? Las Vegas, Cleveland. We've got New York. New York's been open. Tennessee is out there. Atlanta is out there. Did I miss anybody?
The Cardinals
out there where old Professor Kennedy is.
That's
he may just slide on in and be the head coach.
No, I won't.
Breaking news: Lincoln Kennedy.
I want no piece of that pie. Absolutely not. Nope. Hell to the no. No.
Hell to the no. Oh my gosh. All right. Out of all these coaching changes, man, have there been any surprises for anybody? If so, just let it be known.
The Atlanta Falcons, why are you gonna go ahead and win? You're tied for first place in your division, and you coming off the podium getting a hug from your owner. Oh yeah, let me give you a hug. He probably whispered in his ear, "Love you, brother." No, I don't love you. You're fired. And then kept on stepping.
He's talking Raheem.
Love you so much. Meet me in my office in 10 minutes. We have something to talk about.
Yeah. It happened right after the hug.
Yeah, right after the hug, man. He probably had a night long. It was 4 hours later. Like you do a long feedback meeting, and then you fire. Go ahead and lead with the news, bro. Tell me you're gonna let me go, and then you can tell me why afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Again, it goes back to what have you done for me lately? It's all about that. What have you done for me lately? After a win, you can ride off in the sunset and be proud that you're the second year with an 8-9 record, and you haven't been in the playoffs in a while, and you're looking for the future because they believe Michael Penix is their future quarterback, and they're ready to build around them and be John Robinson and all the other players, but it's not translating into wins. So it's again, what have you done for me lately? Impatience. Yeah. That was probably the most surprising fire that I saw.
Yeah, I could see that. I did find an interesting, I say statistic, but the franchises with the most head coaches in the last 30 seasons, I'll just list them for you.
Oh, God.
The Dolphins, the Browns, and the Lions have all had 12. The team that lead, once again, we'll go down there Lincoln's way. The Raiders have had 15 coaches over the last 30 seasons.
Don't remind me.
Coincidentally enough, the team franchises with the most losses over the last 30 seasons in third place.
It's not rewarding in any way to me, and the fact that the Raiders haven't been relevant since I played, and that was 20 years ago.
Hey man,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, that is painful. It's painful.
You might have to pull that Phillip Rivers and go ahead and get you another 5 years.
Hell to the no. Hell to the no.
So you can see it right there.
I see it right there. No, I see it right there. Just know that.
Wow.
Hell to the no. Here's the
losses.
thing. Look, I'm a grown ass man. I'm also well enough to know that at 55 years old, this is a young man's game. I ain't trying to go out there and push nobody down. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's that simple. It is what it is. But it's beyond me the fact that they haven't been able to get it right. And it's saddened me to see, Pete Carroll go. Look, I understand only 3 wins. Something has to change. And we were talking before we started the show. I said, look, the biggest concern last season was who's making the decisions. Because I had heard in the building so many different angles, so many different ways. John Spytek, Tom Brady, Mark Davis, whom it was. But the most alarming and really frightening part, one of the rumors that I heard last season was that while Chip Kelly was there, him and Pete Carroll didn't communicate. Didn't talk in the building. And so I say that to say this. It's impossible to succeed if your head coach doesn't have a relationship with his coordinators.
Got to communicate.
It's just impossible.
Yeah, I get that.
So,
I get it.
So I mean, when you look at this disaster that is before the Raiders, a club that I am passionate about, you see it over my shoulder. I bleed silver and black in many ways. I wish that they can get it right. And I don't know if the next hire will get it right.
Who gets it right? Who
That's
gets it
exactly
right?
right. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, Jamil, I don't know who you turn to. The thing
I know
is,
who you turn to, guys.
Lincoln
Who?
Kennedy.
I know
Who?
outside of
Who?
Lincoln. I think you got to go and get Brian Flores and give Brian Flores another shot, man.
Yeah.
I think if you can get Brian Flores
Quadra-
as your
We want
head
him. We want him
coach,
here in Baltimore.
and,
see, that's why
you want him
you
there in
trying to-
Baltimore for a reason, right? For a reason. Listen, if you can get Brian Flores in with the Raiders, and you can persuade Brian Daboll, who both guys have ties to Tom Brady from the Patriot tree. If you can get those two guys in the building, I think you fix a lot of your issues.
Ah.
So
interesting that you say that.
Okay.
I don't
We're-
know if the Patriot tree works, but it is.
well,
it's
they got the
interesting
guy
what you're
calling
doing.
the shots. I think. Tom
Well, no,
Brady's
I
gonna
agree
have
with
it.
you. Look, I agree with you. But again, it's they tried it with McDaniels. They tried it, the Patriot tree. So I don't know if this whole thing works with the Patriot tree, but it is what it is. But I hear what you're saying, Jack.
Sure.
We're trying the same thing, the same questions in New York. You know, he fired Dable midseason, and Mike Kafka took over, right? So
Boy,
finished 2-5. Okay, cool. Kept the general manager, which I don't understand that, but it's there. So over the last 4 or 5 years, 10 years to be exact, a lot of turmoil, haven't won anything. So now, as I was doing my Giants show, everybody's talking about, well, he's a front runner. I'm going, why? The dude is 45 and 56. Last 2 years, he's 8-26. How the hell would he be a front runner? I don't understand that.
Two-time coach of the year,
Z,
Mark.
that's back
With
then.
Cleveland.
What have you done for me lately? Remember?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but
See
with
this right
Cleveland,
there?
two-time
290 losses for Cleveland in the last 30 seasons.
lot
just
of
saying.
Ain't working.
Put it up there.
especially for that.
So
For
bring me a
having that
Brian
defense,
Flores. Bring me somebody. Bring me somebody. If we better yet, if you have a chance as general manager, Joe Shane is still there.
Yeah.
Mike Kafka's there. They know each other. You might as well keep it as it is instead of blowing it up and bringing somebody else in. You already got your quarterback of the future. Your roster is not as bad as everybody thinks. We have some injuries. Got it. But you got your quarterback in place. You got a good core people on that staff on that team that can make something happen. You don't have to completely change the roster. Stick what you got. Don't bring me Stefanski, who's 46 and 56, whatever, 2-8-26 over the last 2 years. That doesn't make sense to me. Can somebody on this stream make this make sense to me? Stop me from jumping off the edge, please.
don't jump, Mark.
I
Don't
can't
jump.
do
Yeah,
it.
don't do it.
I can't do it for you.
Got too much to live for, brother. Don't do it.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we
Too many
check
homes.
on
We
each
got
other,
a
man.
lot of
We-
houses.
Yeah,
Give me a
man.
call or something.
Yeah, we gonna check on.
Good thing you
Mark,
live in
man,
a
make
ranch
sure.
style house. That's all I got.
Oh.
Yeah, right. Can't go too far. Hope we ain't got no steps. Look, let's end on this. All right, 6 job openings out there. Obviously, I ain't finna go coach, but which one of these ones to you is your ideal location and why? Take 30 seconds for it. All right. So
I'll say New York. I'll say New York
all right.
because the roster is not as bad as everybody thinks. The core, you got your quarterback, the core is there. There's no total rebuild. I'll say the New York Giants job.
Okay, then. Cool. Who's up?
I'll
Jamil?
say
What
the
you-
Atlanta
Atlanta.
Falcons.
I'll say Atlanta. They got a good offensive line. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, 2 defensive ends. Their back end on defense is really good as well. So I would say the Atlanta Falcons.
Q, any other reasons why Atlanta?
Simply what he just said. I think they have everything lined up. It's just a matter of whether or not Arthur Blank's going to hire the right people in the front office to kind of get out of the way and allow for this team to be successful.
As
What
much
else?
as I don't like Atlanta personally, I like Atlanta the job mainly because of the division they play in. I think the NFC South is almost wide open every season, and so you have a chance not only to make an impact with that young roster, with that quarterback, a coach in the system, and that defense. You have a chance to make an impact and to make a true run at a championship run because those other teams are inconsistent.
I know, Z, you said Atlanta as well. Yeah, you got any specific reason behind it?
Just what's been said, their defense is good. They got them going finally, and that offense has got some, firepower. Just fix the quarterback and get him healthy, and they got a chance to run it. And like Lincoln said, that division's wide open every year. You know, it's like, it's kind of like how the East was, every year was a different team winning it, until this year finally, and that's how, the South is.
Facts. Brad, what you got? What's your
I would
dream job
say,
this cycle?
I would say Atlanta is the most intriguing, but my one problem with it is with Penix. And the reason I bring up Penix is just because of his past injury or health issues. I mean, he was dinged whenever he was at Indiana. Did he get dinged? He didn't get dinged at Washington.
Not majorly, but he was. There were times he missed games. He did.
He missed some time. So so that is a red flag for me. And then they have to figure out. I know Cousins just renegotiated his contract. And he seems to be fine to be the highest paid backup quarterback, in the league right now with all the guaranteed money. With that would have been my ideal choice, but I'm going to have to side with Mark and just saying the New York Giants just because of what they have in place. And if you can, is Dart going to change? Is Dart going to change the way he plays? Who the hell knows?
He has to.
You better figure it out.
Right.
You better figure it out.
Or he's going to be 3 and done. He's going to be 3 and done.
Yeah, but you got the New York thing. You're talking about you still have that GM there. Whereas Atlanta, you're going in there and you're going to be fitted with the GM to build that team around you. Because you go in there in New York as a head coach, this GM thinks he's got it because they kept him. He thinks he's
and
got
the media. And the media.
That's why I think the Giants would keep Kafka.
That's probably why you need to bring Mark in there because he can handle it. He like, man,
I can handle it.
I got
You know
it.
what? I can handle
jump off
this.
the bridge.
Get
I
another
want
house
to jump it
now,
off the
Mark.
edge.
Get
I want to
another
jump it off the edge.
Then I won't
feel
jump
that.
I'll jump off the George Washington Bridge.
I know my choice. My choice, I'll go against the grain. Hell, give me Cleveland, right? Give me Cleveland.
Yeah.
Number one, because I feel like they're on this.
Well, you got enough quarterbacks to choose from. I know.
Well, I'm if I go to Cleveland, I'm leading the way with Shadur Sanders. I'm gonna go ahead and lean into the watch. We're gonna make the most of it. I got the daggum NFL single season sack leader over here. I got Denzel Ward. We're gonna figure something the hell out. I'm gonna tell Jimmy Haslam respectfully, get the hell out of my way and let us lead this thing because damn it, we know I feel like Cleveland should be better than what it is every single year.
Cleveland had Mike Vrabel in the building and let him
go.
That was
let him go.
That was there. I thought they were preparing him to be the coach of the future. So I don't know if they'll ever get it right.
Hey, who knows, man? Who knows? I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. But nonetheless, y'all, it's been an hour of the NFL Player Squad show over here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And for everybody here on the show, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.